Welcome to another episode of Permission to be Wealthy. I'm your host, Tasha Chen. And as you know, every conversation of this podcast will always be geared towards reminding you that you deserve to have wealth with ease. Today's episode is sponsored by Starcox, your business building dream team for business owners who want it all but can't do it all. Whatever is taking time away from your zone of genius in your business, let Starcox handle that. Whether you need branding, social media management, systems and automations, website or landing pages, sales and marketing, content creation, and more. Sherry and Jesse and their team of experts are your one-stop solution to implement the projects that have been keeping you stuck while you focus only on your favorite parts of your business. Get unstuck today and scale your business with the Starcox Dream Team. Hello and welcome to another episode of Permission to be Wealthy. Oh my gosh, wealth goddesses, strap yourself in. This is going to be an incredible ride. I have Cassie Shea today. She is a co-founder of Powerhouse Leaders HQ, where they help seven-figure founders and CEOs. Okay, I'm going to slow this down because when I read this, I was like, I cannot wait to be in this woman's presence. They help seven-figure founders and CEOs scale their time and money and leadership by up-leveling from the inside out. Yep. And we're going to dive and we're going to go everywhere under the ocean.
Amazing. I'm a great swimmer. I'm ready.
In this conversation. But the thing that fascinated me about just that introduction is obviously you and your business partner are passionate about up-leveling from the inside out to create results. And that's like everything that we stand for here in my community. So I know this is going to be an amazing conversation. I'm going to jump right in. Is
Perfect.
That good? Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, so.
It's good to be in the room with goddesses.
There you go.
What could be better?
What could be better than that? So I love asking, Cassie, not the version of you at 6 or 7 years old, not when you started your first job, but the woman that's sitting in front of me right now in this present moment. What is your definition of wealth in this moment? And because we keep it real on this podcast and we don't try to pretend like we have it all together.
Yeah.
In that definition of wealth, where is your, like, you know what, Tasha, I'm crystal clear on what the wealth definition is for me, but I'm also willing to be honest that this little aspect of it is where I still am like, I'm still getting there.
I already felt that, like right here.
All right, good.
Okay, we're having a reaction.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so for me, the wealth question is so simple, and this has been my North Star for years.
Okay.
My definition of wealth at this age and stage is that I own my time.
Oh my gosh.
And so there was two things that I wanted.
Yeah.
Years ago when I decided that was my goal. It was about, 3.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I decided it would be so luxurious if I could wake up every day without an alarm clock.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Regrettably, my body thinks that's 6:19 a.m. on repeat, like 7 days a week.
Every
I'm
day,
like,
yeah.
Really, body? Like, that's where we got, okay, you know what, whatever. Okay, fine, I get it.
Yeah.
But the second thing was that I didn't want to distinguish between a weekday and a weekend anymore because I wanted to live my life so intentionally and curate my time so specifically that I could have as much fun on a Tuesday as on a Friday, as on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And there's really, I mean, yes, I do different things during the week. I love the work I get to do. I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah.
But there's no TGIF anymore.
Yeah.
Like I said that the other day and I was like, I think that's just a cultural phrase that we throw around. And I was like, actually, I just want to recall that because thank goodness it's Friday, but thank goodness it's Monday. Thank goodness it's Wednesday. Like, thank goodness that I'm alive, that I'm breathing, that I have this time.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's true wealth is owning my time every single day and not being able to distinguish between a weekday and a weekend anymore.
Okay, so goddesses, we're going to add that to our long list of our definition of wealth, that I own my time.
Yep.
Right? I own my time. Thanks for that. My Jamaican accent's trying to come out. Thanks for that contribution. And I'm reminded of one of my clients who she had like an amazing like Fifth Avenue job, the traditional, golden handcuffs. She meets us and she said, you know what? We're like, what do you want? She's like, you know what? If it's Monday and I'm playing tennis,
Love it.
I know that I have succeeded. And I just love that. It really is just another way of saying I own my time. And so I'm going to inspire everyone that's listening, like actionable item from Cassie's wisdom is, you know, really, really ask yourself that question of is ownership of your time something that's really important to you in your definition of wealth? And so part B, Cassie, not getting away with it. No.
Is that bad?
No, it's just real, which I love. Go for it.
I think, you know, as the voice clears, I'm always looking at body signals. Okay. So for me, that's interesting because whenever I clear my throat, I'm like, oh, is that something that I don't want to say? Is that something that I feel a sense of shame or embarrassment about as a woman? I would say I've always been so blessed to get what I want in terms of career, in terms of finances, in terms of creating wealth abundance, in terms of creating time abundance. And the craving on my heart is to be a wife and a mama. I want to have kiddos. And so I've worked maybe not is even the right word, but I've really softened into this awareness that it's not about like wondering where that guy is so much as softening into, can I become the fullest expression of that beautiful, nurturing, kind mama who lays out like this big dinner for everybody.
Oh my gosh, I'm
gonna
cry.
I throw these like really large dinner parties, and then I like really curate my life in a way where I live alone. I put out cloth napkins. I arrange the flowers. I put on opera, and I have this like really romantic dinner because I'm like, well, if hubby was coming home from work, this would be so nice, right?
Yes.
And like literally the only thing that's missing is him.
Is
so
hubby.
Like, where are you? P.S. I'm available. But I really, I let the luxury in.
Yeah.
And gosh darn it, like all my friends have kiddos, and I'm like the first person to be like, let me hold that baby. I want to help celebrate you. There's not, it's been a big miracle actually in my life of letting go of the scarcity mindset. But whenever I see somebody that has something that I want, whenever I'm like, my friend's pregnant with that, you know, third kid or whatever it is, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a miracle because it's showing me what's possible. And it's taken me a long time to feel that way. It's been a really kind of big heartache. But now I just see the opportunity everywhere. And gosh, I know people sometimes feel that way about me when they see my life, and I'm like jet setting on a plane, and my mom friends are like, where are you going? And I'm like, well, I'm going here and I'm going here.
Like, they're like, they want your life.
I'm going to Portugal for a month, and I'm in a wedding in Portugal, and they're like, are you kidding right now? And I'm like, no, but like, it's not a joke. But I think it's just this really big awareness that I have that the way I can be inspiring, the way I lead and live my life can show other people a path to abundance that they might not have, whether that's how I lead with my time, whether that's how I lead with my business. And so I believe, especially as women, that the best way to cheer each other on is to see that, gosh, if this sister has this abundance, that I believe, so I'll just say what I believe, that's God showing me I can have that abundance too. And so I'm going to celebrate and bless her. So whenever I live in a very romantic and beautiful place. I live in Santa Barbara, California.
Oh my gosh.
So people are just constantly on these like romantic getaways, and there's all these couples everywhere running around. And I look for especially the man's wedding ring, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, thank you for making that commitment. Thank you for showing that marriage matters. Thank you for being a man that was decisive. And I just like kind of like bless their marriage as I'm walking by. And that's really helped my heart open up and see so much more abundance, because there's no lack in my life in terms of like love and luxury and pleasure and happiness. There's just room to add a little bit more.
There you go. You know? That's it.
Room to add a little bit more. A few more babies, a few more mouths to feed, you know? It's just room for a little bit more at the dinner table.
Oh my gosh. So I mean, I'm just seeing from this conversation why we have like, we've had this, you know, there's something here, you know? It's kind of like when you meet a guy and you're like, there's something here. That's how I feel with you. And I'm getting to see why. I was that woman. I was you. I have everything. I've manifested everything, my wildest dreams, but where's my guy? That's the only thing that's missing, you know? To the extent that I started to think, is something wrong with me? Like, why do I need a man? And it wasn't that at all. In the Science of Getting Rich, it says, desire is a manifestation of power.
Can we trademark that? I'm kind of sad we didn't come up with it. Okay, say it again.
Desire is the manifestation of power.
I love that.
And just the fact that you have the desire is the expression of that desire seeking to be fulfilled in your life. And so, like, if you know and you trust that, truly, you will just sit back and be like, gosh, it's going to be so beautiful when it comes, because the fact that you have the desire is the money back guarantee. Bring it to the bank. It's yours. It's done. Right?
Beautiful.
And I cannot wait for us to be friends and you
I'm
go,
going to text you.
Tasha.
I'm going to be like, Tasha, I met him.
Right? Tasha, my desire.
You're on the list now. You're going to know.
I'm going to be on
I got your number.
I love it. And I really just want to honor you, because you are, for all intents and purposes, there are so many women who look to you as having it all. And for you to be willing to be vulnerable and say, this is an aspect of my definition of wealth that's yet to be materialized, you know?
Yeah.
Just giving other women permission to know that we all have that. You know, we all have that thing. So thank you.
My pleasure. And I love what you said about desire, because I always believe desire precedes creation.
Yeah.
If you don't allow yourself to feel the desire.
Yep.
And I have so many friends that are like, well, why do you even want kids? Like, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I want them.
Yes.
And I think there's something so freeing, whether it's creating a business, creating a family, creating your dream trip, whatever it is that you're cooking up, whatever it is you're manifesting, to allow that desire to actually build in terms of a fire and allow that fire to power you. So I love that you said that. Thank you.
I love it. And what I really love about it for you is just like my intention is that there are layers to it landing within you, to the extent like whatever your spiritual belief system is like I've come to understand that my desire is just God saying, I can't wait to see what it feels like through Cassie to have a beautiful family that I lay out big dinners for, and I have a husband who comes home. Like God's like, I just can't wait to see what that feels like through Cassie. You know, like that's your desire for this, is God just seeking
Beautiful.
expression. So, all right, we're all on the list. We're all going to know about it when it happens. Okay, so let's talk about the work that you do for CEOs. And one of the things that I loved in getting to know you was how you talked about, you know, you got really clear on, if I didn't work, if I didn't have to work, this is what I would use my time to do. And then that clarity helped you to re-engineer your current life.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So I love the concept. Tim Ferriss came up with this of mini retirements.
Okay.
I feel like I've taken a few mini retirements during
You're
COVID.
not old enough to have taken a few mini retirements. So now I love this even more.
There's different seasons in life. So
Yeah.
one of my mini retirements was I quit my corporate job about 3.5 years ago, and I
Okay.
moved to London.
Wow.
I was living the Julia Roberts movie, Notting Hill. I lived in West London in this posh flat. I
Wow.
worked in Notting Hill. I got coffee or tea, and I walked to Kensington Gardens every day. It was so dreamy.
Wow.
And it all came crashing down with the global pandemic, because this was February 2020 when I moved there. I was on one of the last
Oh my
flights
gosh.
home to
Wow.
the United States right before they closed the borders. And that was actually one of the biggest heartbreaks of my life.
Wow.
Because it was finally that moment where I went all in on my dream. I'd always wanted to live abroad, pulled the trigger, put everything in storage in polka dot pink bins. Like I was like ready for this new expression of me. And when I came back to the States, I decided to just take a couple brand consulting roles, helping CEOs. It's what I've been doing, right? And so I dialed it down though, and I only worked a little bit, and I really needed to solve the question, who am I without work? And I think especially for any women who's considering leaving corporate, you're so defined by other people's expectations. You're so
Yeah.
used to getting a performance review every year. You're used to playing this game of needing to prove yourself, needing to assert your value in a
Right.
world that's constantly measuring you.
Right.
And so when I looked at the process of my life, I realized I needed to get super deep in touch with my creativity. So I did two things that year. I actually lost 50 pounds, 50.
Wow.
I'm only 5'2", so it was a lot of weight. And
Yeah.
I was just so unhealthy from my corporate life because it was all about work at all cost. And then I also wrote a book. And for me, those were two very unconventional ways of
Okay.
jolting my creativity back online.
Okay.
And so part of me just didn't want to go back to work at all. Part of me was just like, I kind of just maybe think I'll do the book thing, or maybe I'll speak, but also the world's shut down, like it was
Yeah.
COVID. And I was
Yeah.
like, where do I speak? I don't know if I want to be on Zoom all the time. So what I realized is that if I were to sort of self-eject, if I were to retire, if I were to just bake cookies and go to the beach every day, which kind of I do anyway, I wouldn't be giving away my knowledge.
Okay. And
I wouldn't be using my experience, my skills, my gifts, my know-how to bless and further other people on their journey. And that was really why I decided to get back into advising CEOs, is because I believe I've been gifted with a wealth of knowledge from the experiences that I've had. And I believe knowledge, when applied, becomes wisdom. And there's a great way to monetize, especially with online. It's a great way to monetize your wisdom, whatever that knowledge is that you've applied through your life experience. And I think that's so inspiring, with the opportunity to create wealth online now, more accessibly than ever before.
Right.
And so I put myself back in the game.
Wow.
And I said, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready again to do this, but I want to do it different. I want to do it on my terms. I want to do it in a way that still allows me to go on a 2-hour beach walk every day if I want to. And so I really crafted a different way of doing business, doing what I love, advising CEOs. And my specialty is really advising CEOs who are in a deep pivot, who know that they're going to exit their company, they're going to move on from what they've done, or they're going to radically change their business model. And so the operations, how things have been, will no longer take them to where they want to go.
Right.
So more important even than asking the question of what do you want in this next phase, I come in and I ask, who do you need to be?
Okay, pause. Time out. Time out. That's a lot. And one of the questions that I had planned to ask you as we're on this journey of wealth creation, what I hear you saying is be prepared that the identity that you have, right? I am Tasha, who has a job that I've had for 25 years, may need to change or may be changing to take you to your definition of wealth that you possibly haven't yet created, but in this exploratory process will be created for you. But just be prepared that an identity shift will be needed.
Absolutely.
Right?
Life isn't a single act play.
There you go.
We have many acts.
There you go.
And hopefully infinite ones if we're creative and fun.
So that was the first thing I got, was be prepared for the identity shift, and maybe even self-impose it by starting to ask yourself, who do I really want to be as wealthy? And then the second part of what you shared was, reverse engineer. Like, one of the things that I ask myself every year, as much as I set new financial goals, I really ask myself, if I really had it all, what would it look like? And invariably it comes down to, what would make this easier? It's always like, what would make this even easier than it is right now? So be willing to reverse engineer as you're on your journey to wealth. At the end of it all, I have it all. What does my life really look like? And we tend to think of, when I'm retired, that's what my life would look like.
Right.
But what I hear you saying is, actually, you have the opportunity today to get clear on what it would look like and live it.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
And I think actively engaging in two things that have really become staples for me, if we could go a little tactical. Actively engaging in a creative process is going to help. And I'll tell you about mine in a second. And the second thing is being willing to create value exchange. That's the way that I believe, personally, that wealth circulates in our world. Is when we just say, hey, I'm going to be a part of this value exchange. I'm going to give value. I'm going to purchase other people's products, services, goods. I'm going to produce value. And so I think the concept of retirement can sometimes, I think what people mean when they say retire is they want to shift. They want a different reality day to day. But I think the danger of retirement is taking yourself out of the game of value creation.
Ooh.
And so for me, the two things that I'm very committed to are my creative process and being a part of the value creation cycle. So for me, with the creative process, I kind of choose a different theme. So for the last few years, it's been writing. I produced my first book. It launched last year. And now it's dancing. I'm actually training again. I haven't danced in almost 20 years.
Wow.
But I danced all growing up, and then it went totally frozen. My dance career stopped. And now I'm training again as a professional dancer. But the really interesting thing is my dance coach, as she's been working with me for 3 months, said, you're not just a dancer, you're a choreographer.
Wow.
And so it was an invitation to actually take on a different identity. When I went to her and said, I want you to train me as a professional dancer.
Yeah.
Is she said, I'm actually going to train you as a choreographer who's going to create your own movement.
Wow.
And that's been a very important wealth creation strategy for me.
Yeah.
Is to actually embody my creative process, step into the dance, really be the woman I want to be the wealthy woman I want to be on the dance floor. And I've actually made more money since I started dancing again than in my entire adult life prior.
Okay. So, oh my gosh, I was going one way and you like totally darted me in a totally different direction. But I love that because I'm always open to hearing from other people how, you know, your self-awareness is leading you on your own wealth journey. And for you, it's like creative expression. And I always say, it's like when I spoke to Brooke earlier, it was like, can you just imagine that just by being authentically you can create wealth, right? Just by enjoying the things that give you your creative juices, like all the things that it needs, is actually helping you make more money than you've ever made. I think women need to hear that because we tend to think, oh, you know, the only way I'm ever going to amass the wealth that I desire is I have to, you know, stay in this corporate position for forever or grow this business in this particular way for forever. So I absolutely love that. And the other thing that I was going to piggyback on earlier was where you shared about who, not how. On our journey to creating success, to creating wealth, to growing our businesses, you have this thing that you talk about, which is the question is not how we are going to do it, but who we need to do it. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of a double entendre.
Okay.
So the who, not how is that there's a framework, be, do, have.
Okay.
So if you want to have something, a lot of us with a good work ethic, we're usually doing.
Yes.
So we think about immediately, okay, especially as women, we're like, okay, so I want to have this amazing dinner party. Now I need to do the flower arrangements and the menu plan and the catering, right?
Yes.
And instead, the actual way to optimize having what you really want is thinking about who you're being. And so if you take a second to just like drop into who I'm being. Well, who I'm being, the last dinner party I threw was on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And I had a Galentine's Day birthday,
or
Galentine's Day Valentine's.
Yeah.
And it was lemon themed.
Oh.
Because I'd recently gone through a breakup. So I was like, well, life's giving me lemons, so we're just going to do lemon themed everything for Valentine's.
I love it.
So we had yellow roses for friendship, and we had lemon themed cake, lemon chicken. It was amazing. And instead of going to that, so I knew what I wanted to have. And instead of going to the layer of what I was going to do, I actually optimized my being, which was I'm going to be a host who makes a welcoming home.
Yeah.
That people feel totally at home to kick off their shoes in, and they feel at peace, and they feel really loved.
Yeah.
And what was so funny about this event is it was all girlfriends. It started out with 4, and then it became 6, and then 2 of the people were like, well, my best friend doesn't have anywhere to go on Valentine's Day, so she come with us? So I'm like having this dinner party with intimate friends and strangers.
Oh, wow.
And so the optimization of the being, it's a very well-known business concept.
Yeah.
Is your identity, who you choose to take on.
Yeah.
Is actually more important than the how. I know how to throw a good dinner party.
Yeah.
The how isn't as important as the who.
Yeah.
Who you're being.
Yeah.
Dr. Benjamin Hardy actually wrote a book called Who Not How, which if you haven't read it, please go read it.
Okay, adding that to my list.
And you've got to read it. And so
Okay.
the idea that he puts forth, even in a more tactical way, so I always love to go theoretical and then tactical,
Yeah.
is that instead of asking how, so whatever your goal is, let's say it's I want to have my company do $10 million this year. Instead of asking how do I get to $10 million,
Yeah.
it's actually asking who. Who do I need to bring onto my team? Who do I need to become as the CEO?
Yeah.
And then who do I need to, my other take would be, who do I need to know? Who do I need to have in my network who
Yeah.
could help exponentially jump me there?
Yeah.
And also, who do I want as a mentor?
Yeah.
And my 2 qualifications for a mentor are find somebody that understands your business model, has been there, done that, and have somebody that has a personal life that's very inspiring to you. Because I don't want to build at all costs.
Yeah.
I don't want to build the business at all costs.
Yeah, that's not wealth.
It's not wealth.
Yeah, that's not wealth. Oh my gosh, Cassie, we could go for another 3 hours, like for real talk. This has been incredible. You have dropped so many thoughts throughout my energy field. I am listening for you ladies and for myself, just so you know. I'm challenging myself in this conversation. And I'll share vulnerably, I really am asking myself as I look to Tasha's definition of wealth and the next layer and the next level of wealth, really I'm asking myself, am I really clear about who I need to be, right? Who do I need to be as the Tasha that does that? I'll just throw this in. Every time I get to a crossroads where I need to make a major financial decision, and I am human, I struggle with it when it's, whatever. Sometimes it's a big number, sometimes it's not, but I'm in that struggle about making the decision financially. The way that I break it every single time is I ask myself, how would Tasha, who makes this income, so the Tasha that I'm being, that I'm creating, how would she make this decision? And it's just like, oh, this is $5 for her,
I love that.
Yeah, done.
I love that.
So giving more credence to the woman I want to be helps me even with decision making. I mean, I just love the conversation. I love all the things that you're doing. And so how can people reach you if they've resonated with this conversation and they just want to get to know Cassie?
Absolutely. Well, I love to hang out on LinkedIn. I'm like the world's worst millennial. It's my only social channel. I love LinkedIn. And then you can also visit me at powerhouseleaderhq.com. Would love to see you there if you are a CEO who's in a pivot window and who is exploring who they need to be or who they want to be in order to get a new result. Would love to see you over there.
All right. Thanks, Cassie. Thanks for being with us today. Goddesses, go be wealthy.